They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! With 0.6 of a second remaining.
Yo, what is up, everybody? This is the Outlet Pass Podcast. I am your resident JT McConnell, the homie's homie. More importantly, my real name, and I believe it's episode 9, the Andre Iguodala edition of the Outlet Pass Podcast. Alongside me, joining me again, my good friend and host, Dante Parentozzi. How you feeling, Dant?
The homie's homie. How about you say your real name?
I did, Justin DiVirgilio.
I get the real... there you go. You said JT McConnell. I don't even know if I heard Justin DiVirgilio.
I said more importantly, my real name, Justin DiVirgilio. Long day, I understand. Maybe you're not hearing good, but gotta keep your ears open.
All right, Maybe Mike Martin needs to come back. Holy shit, I might be slipping up.
You might be.
But quick shout out to Mike. Thank you, Mike, for hosting last time. We got a lot of good reviews from him, so we really appreciate it. We're going to be open to some guest hosts soon. So we want to do one where we state our case for our specific team. So we're going to pull all the people we know. We're going to get some Warriors fans. We got some Knicks, some Nets. I know Nets really don't have much of a case to state, maybe for the draft, just like the Knicks.
In playoff contention.
We'll cover that later on. Yeah. We'll see about that. But, yeah, you're right. But, all right, let's go with it.
Well, since I mentioned the Andre Iguodala edition of the Outlet Pass Podcast, let's talk about his current teammate, DeMarcus Cousins. And a report that came out about a week and a half ago, of course, when we're in between recording, that he may be interested in re-signing with the Golden State Warriors. So what is your reaction to reading that and hearing about that?
When you think of Boogie, one of the first things you think of is how contentious he is. Obviously, he's really, in my opinion, one of the best players in the league, even though he's been injured for a good big bit now. But he's never had a situation where he was totally content with how everything was going. Now he's in a situation where, we saw on Instagram he was putting moves on KD, and whatnot, and he has a good relationship with Draymond. So it's nice to see that because, we remember his other days where he was with major issues at the Kings. It was a short run at the Pelicans, but with the Kings he was always a little back and forth, wanted to leave. So now he's finally happy. So maybe he doesn't care about the dollars.
That could be true. And here another theory is that he could win a ring this year. And since he is only going to play about 4 months this season, is that he will not get the deal that he believes he's worth and that his agent believes that he can get him. So why not stay on an amazing team and possibly play into late May, late June, and then next year, so you get a full season healthy with the Golden State Warriors, and then the next season you get your big money deal.
So you're telling me you want me to have him bet on himself that he has to come out next year and fire on all cylinders to get that big contract the following year? So you're saying a 1-year deal, it makes sense for betting on himself?
It does in this. It's like the perfect scenario because they still have Steph Curry. But then the Warriors, outside of DeMarcus Cousins, they have guys they have to re-sign this offseason. And we believe, I'm going to speak for me, I believe Klay Thompson's staying. So, and if KD leaves, that really sucks. But you still have 2 of the greatest shooters in the league right now, and then you have a legitimate big man. And you could see how the Warriors' offense would change with DeMarcus Cousins in a full season, Steph Curry playing off him, Klay playing off of him. I think it would be worth it. It definitely would be worth it because imagine playing a full season with 2 of the greatest players on an amazing team, just feeling comfortable. And then, since they can't give him the money that he would probably command, then he'll just go elsewhere. He'll get 1 or 2 rings maybe,
right,
and then bounce.
Right. I mean, some things are contingent on what happens to KD. That kind of has a little bit to do with what he might get paid, what their plans are and the role he'll play, what type of minutes he's going to have loaded into next year. I don't expect him to be getting 32 minutes a night when he comes back, or even towards the end of the season. I don't see him, 30-something minutes a night in the playoff games. I don't know what you think, but it's a tough situation. I don't know if they totally need Boogie that bad to be playing 30-something minutes a night, but it's obviously a compliment. But once again, they have all the pieces. Next year, they might not. So things are contingent with Boogie.
Well, since DeMarcus Cousins, he's actually going to be integrated into the Warriors' play as of January 18th. That's the report against the Clippers. Steve Kerr said they're going to incorporate him over the next 20 games. So now, to me, I'm going to be watching how Steve Kerr manages this. This is actually will be a big indictment or test for Steve Kerr, as well as the Warriors on the court, because now you're dealing with a guy who you signed, who is an elite NBA talent, and has been an elite center in the league for at least 5 years. Now you have to incorporate him into your system, which is run up and down, and be able to get him his touches so he stays happy, because you know his history with coaches. It's actually a really big. It's just a big test on Steve Kerr, and I'm actually interested. And of course, he's going to debut on the off week of our podcast, so we can't talk about how he looked immediately and just have a trigger reaction like all social media is going to have. But it's fine.
I just imagine in the first game he's going to pull up from three like at least twice. I just kind of have a feeling he's going to do that, just because he's trying to get the flavor. He's going to actually want some comedy with it too. He's back playing. He's with the Splash Brothers, so I think it'll be fun. I think Kerr will have a tough time with it, but they always find in an NBA game they always find their touches somehow. It ends up always working out. I mean, he's a little less here, a little less there. He understands he's not going to be getting 28 a night. He's not on the Kings anymore. He's not getting 15 rebounds.
He could get 15 rebounds.
5 assists.
Yeah. He's going to be the guy
in the minutes
to
play,
dominate the glass as he gets integrated.
When he's in. But when he's in, he's not. The minutes might be a thing. I would keep an eye on his minutes. That's what I'm going to stick with. I'm a big fan of the minutes, because if he's going to protect himself for next season, then maybe that's his play.
Okay. The interesting part, last thing on Boogie, to me, is that he debuts on January 18th, and it's a Friday night ESPN game against the Clippers. I'm definitely tuning in. And then the next night, the NBA Saturdays come back on ESPN. So now they have another night of basketball. I was like, wow, did the Warriors have back-to-back games? I was like, no way the league set this up. Because that's where my brain goes. We talk about that stuff all the time, how the league pushes stuff. And
oh yeah, they pushed the hell out of shit. Yeah.
That was in my brain. I was like, and I checked the schedule. I was like, oh, they're not playing back to back. I was like, wow, that would have been an incredible quote unquote coincidence that he gets to play with ESPN on his debut, and then the next night, let's have the whole world see this again.
Right. Interesting though. I don't know if he'll play in the back to back. Do you think they'll do that on the first jump?
They're not even playing back to back. But I don't think they'll do that.
Right, but if they did have a back-to-back, I don't think he would be put in a situation
maybe
like that.
Maybe if they're blowing him out.
Because that's one beauty about the Warriors. No one's going to get 36 minutes a night and get aired out over it. So that's the beauty of the team like that.
Yep, and of course, moving on, the Sixers. It would be remiss if we didn't have any drama revolving around the Sixers. Now that, of course, Jimmy Butler has aggressively challenged Sixers head coach Brett Brown about his role in the offense, and apparently it was very disrespectful. Then Jimmy Butler came out and said that it just happened in front of people, so that's what the problem was, but they actually grew from it and it helped them as a team. That was his quote, and Brett Brown came out and said it wasn't that serious. Do we believe them?
I'm really actually – a lot of people in the NBA take Waj's word and really hold on to it like it's has so much value. Like short Waz usually gets it right. But with this one, he was pulling together a bunch of small things. For example, the Ben Simmons rebound that hit Embiid in the face. Embiid was frustrated by getting hit in the face. Not directly to Ben. What's Ben going to do? He's playing hard. People say, oh, he was chasing the triple-double. Well, what do you want him to do? There was somebody on Joel. Joel probably would have got the rebound, but Ben went for it as well. It was a frustration play. They made it out to be like it was, the separation of a husband and wife, a crazy thing.
Yeah, definitely. Embiid came out and said, I was frustrated about getting hit in the face, not by Ben doing what people allegedly said about chasing triple-double. It was a basketball play. Now, the interesting part, I believe Jimmy Butler and Brett Brown as well, because Jimmy Butler has had problems, but it's because I agree with Jimmy Butler. He should be a part of the offense. I don't understand how he hasn't been worked in as much. He's the third guy. He's a person you were missing. A guy who can dominate on the ball, get his own shot. As ugly as sometimes they may look, whining, shot clock down. And it's not the first time one of your 3 star players has criticized the way Brett Brown has been using them this season. Because we know a couple weeks ago, Joel Embiid was not happy about being on the perimeter as much. And since then, you haven't heard a peep. Anything. You haven't heard anything. Now, I just believe that they should integrate him in the offense more. That's why you got him. He's not there to run dribble handoffs a million times. That's not his game. That's not Jimmy Butler. He can do it because obviously he's a team player, but that shouldn't be happening. And of course, Jimmy Butler this stuff would be, excuse my blankness. It would be overplayed because he's done this at least twice before. And the media and social media love drama. So why wouldn't they pipe this up? I don't think it's that big a deal.
I don't think that's that big of a deal. I'm just frustrated with how certain things were portrayed. And another thing is, unfortunately, I thought about this because obviously there's no secret. I love Ben. But Joel said something. Jimmy Butler said something. Ben didn't say anything. Was that because Ben is a part of the problem overall? That being his lack of a jump shot. Yes, recently he's slowly trying to incorporate it. But maybe he is part of that larger problem, and he makes it difficult to play with.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that, and Ben doesn't really say anything, at least to the media.
Ben doesn't say anything.
He's very stoic when it comes to the media. You see him on the court, he only gets really hyped when he dunks, but other than that, he's a very collected person. But since you brought up the willingness to jump shot for the jumper, oh man, I'm ecstatic.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Who would have thought we would be so happy to see someone do such a simple basketball play that he's supposed to have been known how to do by now?
You know what's crazy? And we get excited that he takes it. Not even that if he makes it. Makes it a whole different feeling. Don't get me wrong. But the idea of just taking it more than one time a game in the past week shows you that he's trying to work it. And I'm still okay with, they also got to respect that one-handed floater that he does.
Yeah, his version of a skyhook.
So since that goes in, it kind of helps his cause because it makes the jumper a little less difficult for him because he could do either or. And obviously, we know he's not consistently making them. We know that, but the confidence is there to try to take more of those shots because it just can't be layups and it can't be dunks because that ain't gonna win us shit.
Well, I've said since you mentioned the little sweeping right hook, I also said along with a short jumper, he needs to incorporate a floater because he gets into an in-between area in the paint so much when he tries to dip in and the shot gets altered. You're 6'10". If you just float it over with enough touch, you're good.
Or when he gets caught up, he just picks up his dribble. It's the most frustrating thing when he does
pick up his
that.
dribble.
At that point, did you see? And I hate showing love to them, but you got to do it when it's there. Did you see the Kyrie floater tonight? Did you get a chance to see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it was one hand. It was about 1 foot inside the 3-point line. He one-handed, lobbed it up. It went so high and then came down right through. It was clean. It was clean. But Ben is capable of getting an assist right on the dime. He gets it right in their hand. Why can't he aim to do a floater right into the bucket? I don't get it. I don't know how much of a difference there really is. He really gets you in the pocket of shooting the ball. He hits it right there. I feel like he should be able to do that if he aims and lines it up.
What?
It's a little different than a jump shot.
Yeah. Maybe Ben, since it was clean, maybe Ben can learn from Kyrie and become Mr. Clean. But that was corny.
That was corny. That's classic.
Since you mentioned, you don't know why, Brett Brown said the jump shot's going to come on his own terms. And the interesting thing, I feel like people bash Brett Brown because maybe he's not doing enough. He said he's never pivoted from saying, I'd like to see a jump shot. He wants to grow him to start taking corner threes. And to him, it's nothing else but a mentality. Something me and you have said off this podcast, on this podcast. It's very cut and dry. It's just very cut and dry. It's the most simple thing, and that is why we are frustrated. Fans are frustrated because you need that to get to the next level. Although certain players who, like Giannis, who's an MVP candidate, doesn't need one, and nobody says a goddamn thing. You want to know why? Because Giannis is surrounded by shooters, and they hide that Giannis doesn't like to take shots from outside the paint. That's pretty much it. I can't even... And the way they get to the rim are different because they're different. Their bodies are different. Like, they're just... one's
a little bit longer and probably a little bit stronger, but not by much, as you would think.
Yeah, he just looks stronger. 100% looks stronger. It's just... I'm just excited to see Ben Simmons start taking jump shots, even though at this point in time, he's been mentioned and compared to greats. But the closest comparison to him in the league right now is Giannis. And as crazy as that sounds, I don't think it is.
I'm going to tell you a comparison. It makes me sick, but I want to give him love for it because he's kind of correct. At this point in his career, okay? That's the main point to say that. Ben Simmons, right now in his career, is a glorified Ricky Rubio, and it made me sick to hear it. But he's not wrong.
That's not a bad point.
Except the only difference is Ben is not a liability on defense. By any
Interesting
means.
you say that, because I noticed just the little nitpick things that he's definitely not. Because when he wants to play defense, that's all really defense is, his effort. I see him I saw he got blown by or got past. Luka Doncic got past him last Saturday when I went to the game. I know Ben Simmons plays a lot with his hands down, and he's slow to get around screens. It just infuriates me. If you're 6'10", and you're guarding on the perimeter, have your arms out. You know what I'm saying? Because what's that picture? The Da Vinci picture when the dude's arms are all over the place? Just picture that. You can move your arms in that radius, so at any time you can react to the ball. Don't have your hands down because it's harder to get your hand quickly up to the ball. Your hand's already there if they're out. That's just...
Now let me ask you this,
Coach.
These plays that he's been screwing up on, has these been a consistent thing in your eyes, do you feel like, or you think these are few and far between and he's still an elite defender in the league? Like, how do you feel? Do you see him on a second or third team all defense, or that's not quite in your ballpark of your thoughts on his defense?
No, See, it's weird. I can see him making second or third team all defense. It's just he would be much better to me if he just stuck with fundamentals. You already have the gifts. Just have your arms out and fight around screens a little harder, because then it'll be a lot harder for the guy to get deep in on Embiid, and then it's 2-on-1. Embiid maybe has to come out on the shooter, and then the lob is able, or if the guy pulls up, then an offensive rebound is available. He needs to do the little things better along with the offensive part of the game, because I'm going to repeat myself again. Defense is all effort. That's all I need to say, because
it is. That's why people like me and you, or more like me, I don't want to disrespect you like that, who isn't the greatest shooter, will compensate by playing good defense, getting the boards, trying to get some steals, getting scrappy a little bit, and that's a player you can respect if he can't always put up on the offensive end. And Ben has been doing kind of the same type of scoring past 2 seasons. Is there going to be there as a time that elevates, or is his elevation going to come because he becomes a better scorer, a better defender, better all-around player? Like, what do we see from his numbers going forward? Like, that's a whole different debate, and I know we can get into that and discuss that for forever. But
well, I definitely
we can only talk. I
wanted to stay
much.
on Ben Simmons real quick, since you mentioned that. Since we're talking about the defense, also if he just puts more effort into the defensive side of the ball, we know Ben's biggest compliment to his game, biggest strength, is that him in the open floor.
Fast break,
so
yep.
If he
fast
just
break offense.
plays with the arms out and slides the feet, he can disrupt more things, and then he can create a steal, get a steal, and then get off and running, get free throws for himself, someone else, an open shot. It just all connects. And I'm sure he knows that, and I'm sure he's working on that. Even though I don't know, I haven't heard anything from him, haven't seen it, but I believe he will, because he is a very good player, and he can become a great player. That's pretty much it. We could talk about Ben Simmons all day, but it's not the time nor the place.
Tell me what is, though.
Well, it's time for Tom Thibodeau to leave Minnesota, because he's no longer the coach and president of basketball operations as of this past Sunday, after 2+ seasons with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, before we get into his firing and how he got fired, I just want to propose a question so we can have some foresight. Who or when will be Tom Thibodeau's next NBA job?
Oh, I would love to see the New York Knicks. Oh,
as a
give it to
GM,
me. Right there. No, he will be a coach.
Okay.
They ain't going to give him that role. The setup of that organization is just so effed up that he won't get anything except coach there.
But they got the fizz.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't care.
All right.
If they ain't going to fire him, though, it's a shame. I wish they would, because this dude didn't buy into the process now. They're going to have their own little process, so I guess that can't be the case. But he will be a coach somewhere else, just because there's always coaches out there. There's always firings. Like it's just a swap. Everybody swaps. It's just like happens just like in the NFL too. This past week, coaches get hired from different teams like that.
Yeah,
it's bizarre, but he'll have a job again.
It's definitely bizarre, because he got fired after the 22-point win against the LA Lakers. How disappointing. I think it just wasn't meant to be there. Like, I mean, it also didn't help that Wiggins never or isn't really progressing that much. And if he stunted his development by any means, upper management saw that as an issue, or someone has to at least. How can you not lift this kid up to be a better player?
I'm not a fan of Wiggins. I know he's like really athletic, but I don't think he's really that efficient of a player and hasn't done much for that team.
Let me hit you with a little something.
Hit me with it.
Andrew Wiggins has the same exact contract as one Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is a fringe MVP candidate as of this season. Andrew Wiggins is what? The second best player on this team.
Third.
Who's two? Oh, yeah. I know what you're saying. I got you. And speaking of Derrick Rose, since you mentioned the friend of the show, we don't know him, but we love him, so we consider him a friend, great player, one of our favorites. He reflected on Tom Thibodeau saying, quote, "He was the only coach that believed in me. No teams wasn't looking for me at all. I was basically out the league. Even coming here, everybody didn't know I was going to play this way." Now, have I really liked Tom Thibodeau that much? No, not really. But thanks, Thibs, for bringing back Derrick Rose, because we all know he's nice. I'm just happy. Do you want to talk about
From a basketball
real quick?
From a basketball perspective, it's awesome. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Like, don't get me wrong, it's bringing him back up. But D Rose knows what he did under Thibs and the Bulls and how much money he made from a business standpoint.
Yeah, you always got to bring up the business.
Hate to be that guy, but you know, he did get bank. He did get bank. He was the youngest MVP ever in the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know in the next 15 years if that'll ever change. He was literally 21 years old.
Yes,
MVP?
21 or 22.
Oh, crazy.
Now,
Crazy.
Side note, did you see Derrick Rose got in trouble this past week?
Yeah. Yeah, he said a little something that I knew that was going to get called as a sound bite. He didn't mean it like that.
I use that term like that.
It is. Yeah, it's shitty. It's shitty, though. But
you
it's okay.
never say it to someone seriously. At least I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't really mean
Right.
it. It's like if you say a stupid take, it's like, then you say it. I'm not trying to say it because I'm not trying to get caught up. I hate that I have to, I feel like that. But I just, and also at the same time, people on social media are just looking for ways to be offended. It's just a bunch of people without time, with time, looking and saying, "Oh, this pisses me off because I'm not doing what I want in my life." That's kind of how it goes.
But he essentially said F the haters, just not as cute. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he dressed it up a little bit.
And with that said, since we're going to end up with positive for Derrick Rose, hashtag NBA vote Derrick Rose.
Yes.
We definitely need Derrick Rose in the All-Star game. And we got to move on now because this is becoming one of my favorite things in the league right now. And that is the growing Warriors-Rockets rivalry. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I took a little deep dive on this. I don't know if you have any just quick thoughts before I tell you what my timeline is. No?
Let me hit you with one thing real quick. Did you see that the sneaker article about this? Are you going to bring that up?
Inform me.
Oh, bro. Oh, I'll let you go first then. I'm about to blow your mind. Hit me with your shit, though. I'm about to blow your mind.
Oh, okay.
Collaboration is key. Let's bring it to
Last season, if you are quick to forget, the Rockets went into Oracle and beat the Warriors to start off the season, last NBA season, in a crazy way. Then, later on that season, in an interview on the Ryan Russillo show, GM Daryl Morey said that the Rockets are basically obsessed with how do we beat the Warriors. He said it's the only thing we think about, and he said, I think I'm not supposed to say that. Interesting. At least he kept it real. And last season, we all know they had the most entertaining and competitive series last playoffs. the Rockets had the Warriors pretty much cornered in Game 6 and 7. They had leads and lost them. You know, in the catastrophic Game 7 where they took, I believe, 21 threes in a row.
Horrible.
Just created a house in downtown Houston with all the bricks.
All
and
the
now
bricks.
we fast forward to this season where the Warriors had some debacles, possibly people piping up that it could be the end of the Warriors. Then you have the Rockets off to a terrible start. No Chris Paul. But they are 2-0 against the Warriors this season. And you have James Harden, the beard. Instead of a cape, he has a beard. And the second matchup was this past Thursday or last week. It was in Oracle again, which I love that they could beat them on the road. An overtime thriller.
I love that.
Where Houston won 135-134. And if James Harden wins the MVP, it may be one of his iconic MVP plays this year as he came off the screen, rose up over Clay and Draymond for a dagger 3, and then proceeded to get up and yell some type of profanity at Draymond. I don't know. And he did get fouled on that call, which was interesting.
Yes, he did.
And then let me tie it into the next two games. The next two games they have one at Oracle on February 23rd on ABC, and in Houston on March 13th on ESPN. Excuse me. I'm almost done. Then you have the play that went viral. I believe we posted on our page the James Harden missed travel call. You know, when he twinkled toes backwards.
Oh, my gosh.
December 13th against the Jazz. Then you have Steph Curry, January 6th. The next night, or a couple nights after they lost to the Warriors, the Rockets in that thriller, he tried it and poked fun at him. He then said that during the game he put 1-3 up on his jersey. Obviously, we know James Harden's number 13. And afterwards he said, maybe they thought if it was somebody else, they wouldn't have called it roundabout way. I love that I can tie all these things together, that there's a story between these two teams. And I feel like that will be addressed on February 23rd. Mark your calendars. I'm done.
Mark your calendars.
How you feel about all that?
They really do have a growing hate towards one another. This is probably the best rivalry in basketball currently. There's no really Celtics-Lakers rivalry. Let's be real with ourselves. I would probably say that's the best rivalry because think about it like this. They really want to grind up each other. And like I was trying to tell you earlier, the sneakers. So Kevin Looney for the Warriors wears James Harden sneakers, right? But he told him he can't wear them when he's playing James Harden because they don't bang with that. It's like, why are you wearing your player like another guy's sneakers on your feet? Like that's whack to them. Like the same thing. He has like Lillard sneakers, even though they're not by like Harden essentially. Like there's a pair that Harden wears. I don't know. They were trying to say something that like, why are you going to put your other man's shoes on your feet? Like that's like not honorable, especially to our rival.
I think Kevin Looney doesn't like Steph Curry sneakers, and that may be the title of our episode.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody really likes them.
No, I think they got a lot of hate the first time, and then the second time, like the new ones are actually kind of fresh.
Yeah, they are fresh more recently, but I don't know. I can't get my head behind them.
And the best part about the Warriors-Rockets rivalry is that it's organic. Because no one really saw... Because I remember 2 years ago, before the Rockets became the best team in basketball last season, regular season-wise, everybody shit on James Harden for practically looking like he gave up against the San Antonio Spurs. And the only problem that I can see with this rivalry is that James Harden has been going way too hard in the regular season. We all know what he's been doing. He's had 14 straight games of 30-plus points, which is incredible. And based off that, if the Rockets finish 4 and above, I think he's getting the MVP again. But
I hope he does, man. I hope he does. There's a guy that I've been thinking about that could potentially get it, but we'll get there in the top of the conversation. Yeah. We'll get there.
I love the rivalry just because it's organic and it's incredible television. Like that game the other night.
There's something that's so raw. You feel like it's just so raw there. It's just so the emotion, I'm not big on their fans. I just think they're kind of phony in the Warriors, but I feel like it's just like the atmosphere in a game like that is probably nuts.
Yeah.
Just because it's a winning atmosphere.
Yeah, because they've expected so much. But the other night in that thriller, at least 3 times when James Harden pulled up a 3, I was like, no way it's going in, and he kept hitting it. James Harden he's a
walking bucket.
His clip is never empty. He's always ready for shots. Always ready for shots. And just kept taking them and kept ripping out the hearts of all the Warriors. And I absolutely love it. And I'm an advocate of the Warriors just because I enjoy the way they play. But I like that the Rockets have been the only team to this point, besides the Cavs winning 3 years ago, but that's a different Warriors team, to actually punch the Warriors in the mouth. And not completely win because they didn't knock them down because they didn't knock them out of the playoffs this year. But they got close enough.
Yeah, they sniffed it. They were the closest. Yep.
Since I mentioned LeBron,
it's frustrating.
We got to talk about LeBron because it
wouldn't be an
NBA podcast if we didn't talk about LeBron James. And there's an update regarding him. He will have an update regarding his return on January 16th per Shams of The Athletic. And I hate this because a lot of LeBron news is not really news. It's just a way to keep talking about him. So this is pretty much an announcement about an announcement. Which I'm definitely not a fan of. It's the worst. But it's okay. And
it's LeBron. It's LeBron. You guys just got to be something. If the NBA didn't have him, it would be. They would obviously thrive. Don't get me wrong, but the ability to have LeBron under their wing just allows the stardom to hit an all-time high, and this is why anything gets covered that happens to him. We've also never had a time where he really sat out,
and he's also put himself in that position because he makes his voice so magnified. It's his own thing.
Oh, for sure.
And since we're talking about the Lakers, they're 3-5 in their 8 games without LeBron because they beat the Pistons last night on the ESPN, where Kuzma dropped a high 41.
He dropped buckets.
I love Kyle Kuzma, but it's good for them to learn to play without him, but they also need to learn to play with him. It's a learning experience, and they'll definitely be in the playoffs. It'll be interesting. LeBron. So, when do you think he'll come back? Since they're going to announce the announcement in between our recording dates.
I think by the start of the second week of February.
Okay, I was gonna say
just to protect himself a little further.
I was gonna say around Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's on point there.
All right, now
that works.
We're gonna be introducing a new segment. And my man Dante is going to be doing that for us. Go ahead, Dante.
By new, we mean used on other shows since we were a kid, but we've always liked it because that was one of the first things we watched in terms of hot takes. And this is the buy or sell segment. So, first one I'm going to ask you is, do you buy or sell Jokic as the MVP of the season?
I'm going to sell. Because
why?
He hasn't willed his team as much as the other candidates to win. And I believe he needs the other guys not as much as they need him, but closer in the gap of disparity than the other players like James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis, LeBron. Those are the extent of the MVP candidates up to this point.
But doesn't the best player on the best team in the West in terms of record get recognition if they finish number one? Doesn't that get some level of respect?
That's true.
On his name.
If I were an NBA writer, I don't know who does the voting. I think it's NBA writers. But if I were a writer, I wouldn't put my vote for Jokic. I'm sure he'll get some first place votes as if the Nuggets stay on this path. But not
Correct.
for me.
Fair.
Now let me hear your buy or sell on Jokic.
I just feel that being on the best and the number one seed will lend a hand to him. Because as the best player contributing on all parts in the game. But I want to talk about another team in the West. They're looking to get the San Antonio Spurs are looking to get Porzingis potentially. They're trying to see if he is available. Significant interest. Do you buy or sell Pop in that idea?
I am buying. Because Porzingis is a foreign player. We know Pop's success with foreign players. Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, even guys like Patty Mills currently on the team. I believe he's Australian. They like to mix in different players from different places, and it will help complement currently what the Spurs have. They have a ball-dominant guard in DeMar DeRozan, and they have a traditional post-up player in LaMarcus Aldridge. So then you have a stretch 4, or at times a stretch 5 in Kristaps Porzingis. I think it would really help the Spurs lineup. What they would have to give, I haven't gotten too deep into it. But I think it would be a solid move for the Spurs.
I buy that. I'm all for that. All right, let me bring it to my next one. So the Lakers' death lineup Kyle Kuzma's been talking about includes Kyle Kuzma, Rajon Rondo, LeBron James, Lonzo Ball, and Brandon Ingram. Can that contend with the death lineup of the Warriors, which includes Boogie, Steph, KD, Clay, and Draymond? How do you feel?
First take is not even close. Just because one guy definitely doesn't want to shoot in Rondo. I'm talking about speaking
Rondo
of the Lakers.
Doesn't even want to.
Lonzo can't really shoot. Brandon Ingram can't really shoot. And you have Kuzma and LeBron, who they will respect. And then on the other side, you know what it is already. You have 3 of the best shooters, and then you have an elite post-up player in DeMarcus Cousins, who, guess what, can run the break with the ball, can shoot some threes. And you have Draymond, who is the only liability on offense. I believe I'm selling hard, easily.
I'm selling hard. Just making sure we're on the same.
Because when you sent that to me, because I didn't even know about it, and you DM'd me that, and guess who posted it? Of course, ESPN.
ESPN, they love it.
They're based out. They have a studio in LA. Just trying to keep the Lakers within what is NBA's class of elite. And guess what? The Lakers haven't been there for quite some time, and we knew this was going to happen. That the Lakers would keep being repeatedly brought up in these conversations. But I just think it's a Mr. Fantastic reach of a reach. To repeat myself, just so in case you didn't know. It's a hard sell. I can't even believe that that's a real post. And then I didn't read the comments, which I'm glad I didn't, but I'm sure some people were buying. They were like, "Oh, Zoe's going to cook." No, Zoe's not going to cook. Sorry.
Zoe is not
Real
cooking.
quick fact. Hold on. Since I got some hate towards Lonzo Ball. Oh my God. He is shooting a worse percentage than Markelle Fultz this season at the free throw line in 400 more attempts.
Wow.
And 800 minutes played. Just real quick, Markelle Fultz is shooting 56.8% from the line, and Lonzo Ball is shooting 41.3% from the line. That was as of 2 days ago. So it could have changed because they played, but damn, that's very sad.
Well, the only thing I could say about that is that number is still higher than Russell Westbrook's 3-point percentage. And I don't know if you can buy this one, but I'm buying high on Paul George as the best player on the Thunder these days.
So you read that Ringer article I sent you?
I read it. I read it and I dug it.
Yo.
The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie.
An old ESPN show by one Michael Smith, who I would say, in a different life, is Dante Parentosi's doppelganger. No, I completely agree. I love that article. It was actually very shocking to see Russell Westbrook shooting. He went 3 for 20 the other night on field goals, which is horrendous. Which I don't understand how certain guys get ridiculed for lack of a jumper or lack of taking jumpers. Then you have a guy who has pretty much revolutionized or revived the triple-double to not get criticized for missing so many jumpers, which was his Achilles heel even when he played with KD.
It's crazy because he referred to it as his comfort spot.
He loves that pull-up.
Because he calls it like all cotton or something I read in the art. What do you all cotton? You mean 22% from the three or 42% from the field? The numbers, and 60-something from the free throw line.
He's like a
horrible.
30, 20, 50 guy or something crazy.
Oh.
Hold on. I got to find that now. Just because we're talking about it.
I got it for you. Oh, I just got to update that OKC storms back to 4-13.
Yeah, I'm currently got the game on right now.
Westbrook hits Jeremy Grant with. Oh, I'm sick about it.
It's actually a really good game.
Let's see these numbers. I got this. He's shooting 42% from the field, 24 from the three, and a 63 from the free throw. That is some booty numbers.
40, 20, 60, not good. The elite club is 50, 40, 90. And I don't think he's going to be turning that around.
He ain't sniffing that. No, he's not going to be.
All right. I think that is all we got. Unless, Don, you got something else to bring up?
Well, I just want to bless this beautiful town that I'm in, which is Boston, with a little taste of what happens in Philly. And you guys usually blow it up on us. But today, we were watching the game. Marcus Morris and Jaylen Brown got a little into it. Marcus Smart had to be there to assist. A little bit of a separation. I kind of love seeing it because things aren't always sunny in Boston. How about that?
Yeah, who knows what it was about. It's probably about the team's play. Let me just give some backstory. They lost to the Heat tonight in Miami by 16. Marcus Morris, Mr. Consistent for the Celtics. If you ask me, he's been the best Celtic this season. He played 29 minutes at 17 points, 3 of 5 from 3. Then you have Jaylen Brown, 1 of 5 from the field, only played 14 minutes and scored 2 points. So I don't know if that can be any type of factor into that, but it's definitely something. And who knows? It'll definitely get...
He's not producing, and it's getting a little frustrating. I had a conversation with a kid today. It's a little frustrating that Jaylen Brown hasn't been able to find his spot. But, it'll come slowly. I hope it doesn't. But as an NBA fan, I guess I want it to. But from a Sixers perspective, we'll get it.
I have a real quick question. If Jaylen Brown continues to regress, they have a lot of decisions to make this summer in Boston. Is him being traded one of them?
If it makes sense for them and it gives more of a mouth to feed for other players, then that might be an option to explore, especially with the fact that they have another top 10 pick coming in, which will come in a little bit of a cheaper price than the Jaylen Brown re-signing. So that might be a replacement just for a cheaper dollar from a GM perspective. We know Danny Ainge is smart, so that's what I would do from a GM perspective.
Okay. I could see him on the Sixers. I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
But
you could figure out something for him.
That won't be blown out of proportion because it's the fourth and fifth best players or fifth and sixth best players on the Celtics. And it's not really a taste of Philly's medicine because our star players make noise, either good or bad. That's just how it is. Got anything else to say to the people now? Yep. Something to plug? Thank yous or whatever?
That's it. I started my semester back up. It's wild already, but we're going to be getting it again this semester, and we're going to be on point with it. Let's go.
All right. Now, to me, I'll just get some plugs out there. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud. Those are the four main ones. Just search up the Outlet Pass Podcast. Hit subscribe on Apple. Rate it 5 stars. Review it. Spotify, make sure you save it as part of your podcast. YouTube, Justin DiVirgilio, subscribe to that. Hit the thumbs up. Comment. That helps out. SoundCloud, search the Outlet Pass Podcast. Hit the heart. Repost on SoundCloud. And what else? Oh, also on Twitter, @pass_podcast. And then on Instagram, @the Outlet Pass Podcast. And reminding you once again, this is the Outlet Pass Podcast. This is the Outlet Pass Podcast. The ball being our opinions. And we're passing it out to you. Peace.
Peace.